Okay, so for the problem of the week this week, we're dealing with this data set, and I can't remember. It's been a while since I made it. Um, I think it might be a real-world data set for a hospital. So what the numbers are saying is that between 0 and 5.38, there were 10 days where they had, between 0 and 5 patients in the ICU. And this 174 randomly selected days, there was between 5 and 11 patients. There was 45 days where they had somewhere between 5 and 11 patients. So there were like 1 or 2 days where they had a ton of patients, like 62, 63, somewhere between these two numbers. And there was also like 2 or 3 days where they had patients between either 54 patients or 59 patients or somewhere in between in their hospital. So there's a couple of really big days. So it's skewed, right? It's skewed to the right because of these outlier days. And data sets where there's a natural limit but no natural lower limit but no upper limit, those are often skewed. Like this one, you can't have less than 0 patients, but you can have 100 patients in the ICU. So what's a better measure of a typical amount of ICU patients, the mean or the median? So using what we've studied in our textbook in Newton, decide which is the better measurement, the mean or the median. Okay. And then for part 2, this is where you're going to grab some data points. So I made a really simple website. If you click that link, there's a button up here that says click here for new value. It's grabbing a random number from that data set that we have of 174 days. So I grabbed a random day, and there were 6 patients in the hospital that day. So you could do this on paper, you could do it in Microsoft Word or whatever you want to do, but I'm going to start recording the random number of patients, and then we're going to calculate something called the absolute difference from the mean, the absolute difference from the median. Okay. So I got 6. And then I'm going to record 16 as well. Oops, I forgot to record 6 under here. So 6 was one of the days. 16 was another day. But keep going like that until you have 10 days. Keep grabbing random data points using this website I created. So you have, what was it? Man, my words aren't coming to me today. Until you have all 10 days. So you need 10 random numbers. That's all you're doing here is grabbing 10 random numbers. And then in the instructions, you're going to calculate the absolute median difference and the absolute mean difference. And then the mean, they said, is 18.8. The median is 16. So what you're doing is you are taking each number and subtracting it by the mean and then taking the absolute value. So it says the mean of the data set's 18.8. So to calculate the absolute mean difference, what you're going to do is take your random number, subtract it by 18.8, and then take the absolute value of that number. The absolute value just means the positive version, so 12.8 goes here. Okay, and then do the same thing for the next random number. Do it for all 10. Take the number, subtract it by, I forgot what the mean was 18.8, and then you record the absolute value here. So the positive version. So keep doing that for all 10 of the numbers. And do the same thing for the absolute difference from the median. So the median of the data set was 16. So 6 minus 16 makes negative 10. The absolute value is what gets recorded here, so the positive version of the number. So do the same thing here. 16, I think that was the median, wasn't it? So coincidentally, I got a random number. 16 minus 16 makes 0, so 0 gets recorded here. And keep doing that for all 10. And then what you're going to do at the end is you're going to add up all the numbers in each column. So let's say for the absolute difference, I added up all 10 numbers in that column. I got 58.9. And for the absolute difference of the median, I added them all up. I got 55.2. That means the median was a better estimator. It was closer to those 10 random numbers because it was off by 55.2. And this one was off by 58.9. So this is off by less. Okay. So add up the absolute difference in the means, add up all the absolute difference in the medians, and compare those two. And then part 3 is just asking you to reflect and decide whether you should change your mind or not. Now, look, some of you might have the right answer in mind from part 1. You might be correct, but the data set might not support your answer. That's due to random chance. We tried to keep this simple, just 10 numbers. That's not always going to be perfect, but there is one that's supposed to be used to measure central tendency when outliers are present. Okay, but that's all you have to do. Fill those out, submit that table to me, and then make sure you have written explanations for part 1 and part 3, and then you should be all set.